United States of America, land of freedom, where every year millions of families answer the vacation call of the open road. 48 different states from which to choose, each with its own particular beauty and charm. Down where the blue Atlantic rolls against warm white sands and palm-fringed shores lies the state of South Carolina. 28th in size, 27th in population, but second to none in wealth of interest and warmth of hospitality. Hospitality that welcomes the motorist with a network of fine modern highways reaching into every corner of the state. Highways that traverse the northwest upcountry, where the Blue Ridge Mountains drop away into the green of gently rolling foothills. Highways that lead through the woods and farmlands of the Piedmont. Broad parkways that approach the sea through the rich Carolina lowcountry, where shaded moss-hung highways carry the traveler into another era, transport you swiftly back through the stirring and colorful days of history, back to colonial days, to old plantation roads and the great plantation houses, mellowed by the passing of the years. When you visit such homes as Hampton, more than 2 centuries old, you try to picture in your imagination the generations that have come and gone, the fabulous days of colonial prosperity, when Carolina planters made fortunes from the growing of silk and indigo and rice. The days when each great plantation was like a little kingdom within itself, depending on the broad rivers and tideland waterways for trade and communication with the outside world. Today we see no fields of indigo. They are long forgotten. The rice paddies have been left to nature or turned to other uses, but many of the great houses still stand to remind us of old plantation days. Homes that have changed little to the eye, though re-equipped for modern living. Homes like magnificent Bonnie Doon, or charming vine-clad Medway, or famous Mulberry Plantation, built by the governor of the Crown Colony of Carolina almost 250 years ago. When you mention the South, most people think of cotton. In South Carolina, the great cotton era began in the early 1800s. Cotton picking scenes like this were as familiar then as they are now. But planters of those days would look with astonishment at King Cotton's empire today. Land devoted to cotton has been cut in half, but scientific farming produces far more to the acre. And out in the fields, we begin to see such strange futuristic monsters as this. Perfection of the mechanical cotton picker, long an inventor's dream, may have as profound an effect on cotton growing as the coming of the cotton gin 150 years ago. Another crop with a colorful history is tobacco, first used by the Indians and introduced to Europe by Sir Walter Raleigh. Grown by early South Carolina planters, tobacco was almost forgotten during the booming cotton era of the 1800s. But today, South Carolina is one of the nation's leading tobacco states. In early fall, big markets like this one in Darlington hum with activity as buyers judge the golden leaf and make the bids which put well-earned money into the pockets of tobacco growers. Leading the new agricultural progress of the state is Clemson Agricultural College, founded in 1896, whose faculty, agricultural extension service, and experiment stations have helped to revolutionize farm methods. Textile and engineering courses are increasingly popular. A land-grant college, Clemson offers military training too. Graduates become reserve officers. Most of them will wage their peacetime battles in the fields of textiles, engineering, or agriculture. But modern farming methods often remind us of wartime military techniques. Attacking from the air, skilled pilots destroy insect pests with death-dealing dust, protecting crops at a saving in both time and money. The roaring flamethrower is here put to novel use to harvest early potatoes. To dig the potatoes buried in the ground, the heavy foliage of the plants must first be destroyed. Within a few minutes after passing through the searing heat of the flamethrower, the leaves begin to wilt, and within a short time, the potato digger can do its job with little interference from the growing plants. Fertile soil, rich in iodine and other minerals, makes the low country ideal for the growing of big, tasty onions, crisp green cucumbers, beets and other truck crops of many different kinds. It seems as though the big sweet cantaloupes and the famous South Carolina watermelons get an extra special flavor from the rich sandy soil of the coastal region. Picked at their prime, they are rushed by fast trucks and trains to markets all over Eastern America. At the peak of the season, folks down here get together for the annual Hampton Watermelon Festival to celebrate the harvest and sample the crop. Diversity is the agricultural credo of the New South. New rust-resistant grains and some of the world's finest hybrid seed corn are among the contributions which South Carolina growers have made to better farming everywhere in America. Plenty of good feed and the development of year-round pasture land means better dairy farming and beef cattle production. New pasture techniques provide rich grazing like this even in the middle of winter. Springtime in the upcountry finds more strange-looking monsters at work. Peach growers employ these big power sprayers which handle 2 rows of trees at a time. When you visit the peach country in blossom time, be sure to put color film in your camera. If you haven't yet seen South Carolina's peach blossoms, chances are that you have eaten the luscious fruit. For these big, juicy peaches travel to as many as 38 states in the East and Middle West. Since the first carload shipped less than 30 years ago, the crop has grown to multi-million-dollar size and made South Carolina the biggest shipper of fresh peaches in the world. In the northwestern border country, winding highways climb up to where the brilliant colors of woods and flowers are softened by distance into the misty azure of the Blue Ridge Mountains. A favorite view spot is here at the rocky formation called Caesar's Head, not far from beautiful Table Rock State Park, one of the popular mountain recreation centers. Kings Mountain State Park is another of the many operated by the South Carolina State Commission of Forestry, all easy to reach over well-kept, hard-surface roads. Here, the lake is but one of many features, including picnic facilities, nature trails, and historic sites. Day camp groups provide the youngsters with classes in swimming and diving. It's the old swimming hole, deluxe variety, made safe by careful supervision. Cheraw State Park, down in the Sandhill country, is an outstanding example of how submarginal land, unsuitable for farming, can be developed as a vacation playground. In all, there are almost a score of these parks, easy to reach in every part of the state. When cold and snow blanket northern climes, this part of South Carolina bustles with vacation activity, centering in the popular winter resorts of Columbia, Aiken, and Camden. Hundreds of the nation's finest thoroughbreds brought here every year for training are put through their paces in preparation for racing meets all over the nation. This, too, is one of the great polo centers of the country, where you can see exciting matches all through the season. Here, too, is a paradise for those who ride to the hounds, or those who like to play golf in the bracing air of fragrant pine woods. Yes, this is the place for those who can vacation in the wintertime. But to most folk, vacation time means summertime. Brilliant days, warm sun and blue skies, carefree hours of leisure on the sweeping golden sands of South Carolina's fabulous beaches. Thousands of families come here to famous Myrtle Beach to spend weekends, a month, or a whole summer in luxurious resort hotels, popular guest cottages, or their own seaside homes. Mellowed by the warm Gulf Stream only 40 miles offshore, Myrtle Beach has become more and more a year-round resort. For those who like their swimming a bit more glamorous than this, Edisto Beach State Park might easily be taken for some far-off South Sea island. Even wilder in its natural setting, historic Hunting Island invites the visitor to romp in the rolling surf or picnic in groves of graceful palmettos. South Carolinians love these beautiful native palmettos. They have named it their state tree and refer to South Carolina as the Palmetto State. We find the palmetto emblazoned on the state flag, and we find it honored again in this natural-looking replica made of iron. A monument to the famous Palmetto Regiment, it stands in the grounds of the State House in the capital city of Columbia. South Carolina's magnificent State House, begun in 1855 and built of native granite, is considered one of the most beautiful Capitol buildings in the nation. Open to visitors, both the State House and the park-like grounds display many historic relics and mementos. One of them is the huge bronze equestrian statue of one of South Carolina's heroes, military leader, governor, and United States Senator, General Wade Hampton. From the elevation of the State House steps, one looks down the busy main street of Columbia, a fast-growing center of trade, industry, and transportation. A highway center with fine hotels and shops, Columbia is an ideal year-round touring headquarters for the motoring visitor. A center of education as well, Columbia is the home of the University of South Carolina, chartered in 1801. Among the newest structures on the campus is beautiful McKissick Library. Older ones include the South Carolinian Library, oldest separate college library building in the United States. Most of the mellowed old buildings on the elm-shaded quadrangle date from the early 1800s. But college days are not all as peaceful as this. To prove it, we turn you over to Carolina Stadium.
Right, biggest day of the year in South Carolina is Big Thursday, when Carolina and Clemson meet for their annual pigskin battle. To entertain the crowd, Carolina bandsmen strut their stuff to music. Now, Clemson cadets, without the benefit of music, perform with thrilling precision their traditional fast-paced drill. Passed along from one generation to another, this classic football rivalry has raged for half a century, and thousands of fanatic fans get to their feet as the Clemson Tigers kick off into another grueling contest. Time and again, the offensive shifts back and forth between the Gamecocks and the Tigers. In fact, it's fast and furious all the way, and anybody's game until that final touchdown.
Yes, it's anybody's game. But don't get the idea that it's just a man's world in South Carolina's halls of learning. Winthrop College, the state college for women, is one of the best in the land. Founded in Columbia in 1886, it was moved 9 years later to Rock Hill, where its beautiful tree-shaded campus covers 80 acres. Popular courses include teaching and home economics. Practical education begins long before college days. In 4-H clubs and summer camps, the state's future agricultural experts learn the mechanics of farming at an early age. In South Carolina, the picturesque past paints a colorful background for the streamlined present. Several of these quaint old water mills are still working, grinding corn for the neighboring farmers. They provide nostalgic memories of yesterday and a vivid contrast to the progress of today. The tiny mills have given way to big powerhouses which utilize the state's vast resources of water to provide electric power for cities, farms, and industries. The quiet mill ponds have become great reservoirs, such as Lake Moultrie near Charleston, or Lake Murray, which impounds the Saluda River near Columbia. Creaking mill wheels have given way to massive turbo generators that turn the power of the surging water into millions of kilowatts of electricity on its way through big transformers, intricate switch yards, and modern distribution systems which have made possible a new era of progress in the South. For example, little over a century ago, every bale of cotton grown in South Carolina had to be shipped to other states or foreign lands to be made into finished products. But far-seeing businessmen, even of those days, knew that South Carolina could never prosper or progress without industries of her own. Here at the old granite mill in Graniteville near Aiken, the Southern textile industry was born. Built in 1845, this original mill is still in operation, though dwarfed in size by the big modern textile plants of today. You'll see them wherever you drive in the textile belt, such giant mills as this one in Greenville, once the world's largest. Or this one in Lancaster, largest cotton mill ever constructed under a single roof. Here, plentiful raw materials, abundance of power, and skilled craftsmanship combine to build an ever-growing industry, not only in mills that spin and weave, but those that bleach and dye and finish the cloth as well. New plants like this bleachery at Grace, modern as tomorrow, are ushering in a new era of scientific production and efficiency. In huge printing plants like this one at Rock Hill and those in Clearwater and other cities, all the myriad hues of the rainbow are applied in the newest designs for Milady's colorful cotton dresses and the decoration of her home. The capacity of South Carolina printing plants alone is measured in hundreds of millions of yards. Enough of these beautifully fashioned prints each year to wrap a continuous belt 3 times around the entire circumference of the earth. The growth of this great textile industry means that thousands of expert craftsmen, men and women whose traditional skill has passed from generation to generation, find South Carolina a good place to work and play and live. Many mills provide low rental homes for their employees. Attractive modern homes like these in Lancaster, or these in the famous textile community of Greenwood. You see many textile plants in rural areas where employees can enjoy the advantages of country living. Many have their own farms. Other mills are closer to large trading centers like Spartanburg, a fast-growing business and home city that has become an important southern center of both industry and agriculture. Or Greenville, another thriving industrial and shopping center and a favorite stopping place for travelers. Motoring through vast areas of timberland in South Carolina, you might think of trees just as beautiful scenery. You might not think of them as a raw material crop, like cotton, to be made into hundreds of products and supply work and income for thousands of people. But wood is raw material for paper, and South Carolina forests supply such giant plants as this one at Georgetown, which operates the biggest paper-making machine in the world. Wood, as well as cotton, can be used in the making of rayon. This new synthetic yarn plant is just outside the city of Rock Hill. Industries of Charleston, in the center of the great pine forest areas of the lowlands, produce many products originating from wood. Slash pine, its bark removed in huge revolving drums, is made into craft paper used by almost every business in the country. Scores of different paper products include folding shipping cartons, such as we see in production here. In another Charleston factory, big wooden reels for electric cables are turned out. Here, an ingenious spray technique speeds up the painting of wooden sections which go into the making of cases to distribute popular soft drinks. More wood goes into the manufacture of chairs and other office furniture made in another of Charleston's small industrial plants. The variety of products is endless. Here, from sheets of plastic material, are stamped the popular modern spectacle frames in many styles and colors. This small plant makes special gloves to protect electric linemen from danger in their work. These are just a few examples of the variety of industries that are finding success in South Carolina. From packing the delicious native shrimp to grinding paints for every use. From delicate ornamental ironwork to colorful bags for the shipping of agricultural products. Almost anything you want, you name it, chances are that South Carolina can make it. And the great seaport of Charleston can start it on its way to market anywhere in the world. Here today, as in centuries past, trade flows from shore to ship and ship to shore. But enough of this industry and trade. After all, we're on vacation. As we drive into Charleston across the magnificent double span of the Cooper River Bridge, we find ourselves in South Carolina's oldest city, a modern American city which still proudly preserves the beauty and traditions of its earlier days. Even busy King Street, part of the shopping center, wears the architectural raiment of yesterday, while some of the quiet, tree-shaded streets of the older part of the city transport us all the way back to the charm of colonial days. A favorite example for visitors is this gaily painted block called Rainbow Row, with its interesting old doorways, its intriguing ironwork, and the multicolored pattern of its roofs and gables and chimneys against the sky. You can enjoy seeing Charleston by automobile, but the leisurely atmosphere of the older town seems to call for a slower pace. You can let your driver take you down palmetto-lined East Battery with its palatial homes and gardens and let you off where the city juts into the bay. Here, Charlestonians will tell you, is where the Ashley and the Cooper Rivers meet to form the Atlantic Ocean. Strolling back, you'll pass scores of typical Charleston homes whose shaded piazzas and galleries always face their own walled-in gardens. You'll find some of the historic homes open to visitors, veritable museums of the city's past. Wherever you go, you'll see the wrought ironwork for which Charleston is famous. Balconies, stairways, elaborate gates and iron fences. The work of artists and craftsmen celebrated for the intricacy and delicacy of their designs. One of the most beautifully executed examples is the famous sword gates, made about the year 1820. Now restored, this building was originally the Dock Street Theater, opened in 1736, and later, the Planters Hotel, a celebrated social center of the past century. From the wrought iron balcony, we see the towering octagonal steeple of St. Philip's Church. One of the outstanding landmarks of the city, the steeple once held a light to guide mariners approaching from the sea. Charleston's beautiful churches of all denominations are far too many to mention, but one of the oldest is Venerable St. Michael's. Another towering landmark on the skyline of Charleston, its great white steeple rises to a height of 182 feet. The four-faced clock high in the tower has kept time for the city's inhabitants since 1764. Of Charleston's many distinguished schools and colleges, probably the best known is the Citadel, the Military College of South Carolina, where cadets receive complete military as well as academic training. Not far from the Citadel is Hampton Park, which springtime turns into a thrilling riot of bloom. Perhaps of the many things for which Charleston is known, the gardens are most famous of all. Scores of them are hidden away behind vine-clad walls or in the beautifully landscaped grounds of private homes. But in seasons when their beauty is at its height, many gardens are made accessible by their owners to garden lovers and garden club members who come to visit from all over the nation. Within easy driving distance outside of Charleston are many of the oldest and most beautiful gardens in America. At historic Belle Isle on Winyah Bay, shady flower-bordered pathways wind beneath magnificent live oaks, centuries old. Brook Green Gardens, between Georgetown and Myrtle Beach, is a unique outdoor museum displaying one of the finest existing collections of marble and bronze statuary. Trees, pools, shrubbery, and flowers provide a unique setting for the work of famous sculptors. At Pirates Cruise Gardens, one of the many attractions is the late winter and early spring bloom of the exquisite camellia. More than 100 kinds, including rare and prize-winning varieties, lend themselves to the designing of beautiful cut flower arrangements. But garden lovers can enjoy them most in their natural settings, where each different variety can be seen at its best. A spot of thrilling beauty on the Ashley River near Charleston is Old Magnolia Plantation. The gardens, planted more than 100 years ago, have grown in beauty and popularity with each generation of visitors until their fame has spread around the world. It was back in 1843 that the first azaleas brought from the Orient were planted here. Today, masses of bloom in endless variety line the winding walks and reflect in the quiet lagoons. The oldest landscaped gardens in America are those of Middleton Place, another of the great colonial estates on the banks of the Ashley River. Here, formal design in the 18th century tradition blends with the natural beauty of the Carolina Low Country, the beauty of ancient trees, infinite variety of shrubs and flowers, an old rice mill mirrored in blue water, azure butterfly lakes set in emerald lawns, vistas of form and color that make words seem futile. To many, a trip to Cypress Gardens is the unforgettable climax of a visit to South Carolina. Here, for a breathtaking hour in another world, happy motoring ends and happy boating begins. For the gardens have been created from an old plantation lake used in colonial days to flood the fields of rice. Within a few moments, your boat glides into the cool, cathedral-like arches of a cypress forest. A mysterious wonderland of towering trees festooned with Spanish moss. Deep in the shaded quiet, you can hear the whispering of the water, the rhythm of the boatman's paddles. Listen.
The whisper of the paddle singing soft and low, South in Carolina. The rhythm of the paddles where the cypress grow, South in Carolina. The shady waters where the ripples flow, the sun-kissed banks where sweet azaleas grow. The rhythm of the paddles makes me long to go south to Carolina.
South to Carolina. Yes, drifting through this lovely labyrinth of nature, our camera journey seems far too brief. But all of South Carolina invites you to come back again, in person, for a longer visit. The mountains and the lakes and the sea, the old and the new, the peaceful quiet of gardens like this, with stately moss-hung trees moving majestically above you and shimmering reflections below. All these will be yours to enjoy when you come
South to Carolina.